Inspirational. She's passed away since, but she had polio. Back in the day, that was something that I suppose a disease at the time that was going around, and there was no cures. Back before the vaccination for polio came out, and she had polio anyway, but she was a phenomenal swimmer. Wow. And she had a lot of different struggles in life, but she was an amazing swimmer. And anyway, the story goes, I remember her telling me about, she said she used to do all her crying in the pool. And that first line, she goes to the shore because she can cry there, is kind of inspired by that story. And she used to swim 100 lengths of the pool within an hour. Like, she was a phenomenal lady and did so many things. So that song was inspired by her.
Wow, that's brilliant. That's amazing. And your, what influences do you follow? Who would be your musical influence?
Yeah, so growing up, I would listen to like a vast array of music. I suppose I studied classical and opera.
Okay, we're going to hand away.
Theatre as well growing up. So they would have been a lot of my original influences. Okay. And then I kind of started to delve into
Can I come back to you if you don't mind? I'm sorry about that. With that, we go live to the Ora Leisure Centre for the very latest Greg Hughes. Back to you, Greg.
Thanks very much, Paul, and my apologies. I was enjoying listening to that story myself, but we do have some business to attend to here, and that is the conclusion of the election count here in the Ora Leisure Centre, and of course that means also too we'll be filling the final 7 seats of the 37. So we're going to get some confirmation of that now by way of an announcement.
Following the completion of the re-examination of the ballot papers, I am now proceeding to exclude Kevin Bradley and redistribute his votes 1008. That'll be count 13. Thank you.
Okay, and just like that, after the second recount, and a round of applause there for Kevin Bradley, we have Trudy O'Donnell with us, who is working with us here on this count, helping us number, crunch and what have you. And Trudy, obviously a very respectful round of applause for Kevin Bradley. We've had 2 recounts now, and in the end we have proceeded really quite smoothly.
Thankfully, yes, absolutely. And I mean, I suppose following through on what happened there during that recheck, just a little bit of update for the listeners out there that might not be here in the Ora Centre today. Kevin Bradley actually lost another 3 votes. There was 2 votes that were found that were spoiled votes. And
just take a seat here, Kevin.
One of his other votes went to Vincent Bradley.
Okay, well listen, we'll get an update on that in a second. If you could just lean into that for me. Kevin, I mean, listen, there was a process there that we went through. It had to be gone through. Unfortunately, you have lost your seat. I suppose your reaction?
Greg, it's one of them things. It's one of them things, Greg. Just everything changed. The ball didn't fall in my court this time. There were too many candidates. I want to commend all the staff of the council here for the work I put them through and the help they gave me through the thing. I want to commend my team here. My director of elections here was Freddie, and there's another wee man there, the name of Patrick James Doherty, 4 years of age. He put in a massive campaign, so he did for us. And it was a great spell, great 5 years. You know what, Greg? I have plenty to do, and good luck to the new candidates.
Yeah, you are busy, and I think you mentioned to me a little earlier on that much earlier than right now, you sort of had said to yourself, right, that's it, my race is run. But I think, and I think you did the right thing. You owed it to yourself to have no regrets. You owed it to your team. And those that a lot of people voted for you, I mean, not in the numbers that were required this time, but a lot of people voted for you. And I suppose just taking that extra 3 or 4 hours that was required, I think worth it in the long run.
Worth it in the long run, surely, Greg. Difference in the whole thing was Declan Jordan was on there. That was all kind of family friends, and the Mike or the what it called Sandra Hawley was running there, and she'd be a second cousin there too. And then at McLaughlin man, there was running for what was he running? Oh, Labour. Yeah. And that split the whole thing up again. So just that wasn't to be in this, is Greg.
Yeah, because as you say, you've plenty to be at anyway.
I have plenty to be at, Greg. Yeah. And you know what, Greg? I come in here earlier on and I was thinking to myself, it's no wild odds, just whatever happens.
Yeah.
So that's the way it is. And you know what, I'm happy and I had a good time. I got 5 years, I got met a lot of good friends, got a lot of good help along the way, and thank yourself too and your team for you're always very good to us there.
No, it's not no bother. It's very early doors, of course. Look, you've represented your people. You've had the top job, I suppose, as Cahirlock of the area. Do you think you'll come back for this, or is this a part of your life now that you're prepared to close the book on?
I don't know yet, Greg. We'll never
That's
say
good.
never.
That's not
Never
a bad
a long
answer,
time. Right?
is
We'll
it?
see
Yeah.
you in 5 years' time and take a difference.
Your whole team behind you have
whole
just
team
gone,
oh,
oh,
good
no.
team. Oh, no.
He might
Well,
be
that's
back.
what happened to the team from the 5 years ago. I think the half of went on holidays was no help to the other, but sure, they done their bit too, and everybody, and thank everybody for the work they done.
Okay, well, listen, again, it's regardless of who it is, what the party is, or no party at all, it's sad when you're sort of part of it, like this story here.
Yeah.
This is an end of a chapter of your life. But
I'm not sad, Greg. I'm not sad.
All right, so I'll not be sad then.
Don't be one bit sad about it, Greg. I'll be able to walk down the street now in peace and nobody touches me. I can take the dog to the bank. I can do what I want.
I'm not sure that's how it works. I don't think. But anyway, I'm sure you
And just come
support.
out my wife here too, and I mentioned her and my family.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and you can't do it without them, can you?
That's it,
And I think your supporters want to give you a big round of applause too for a fantastic 5 years. All right, Kevin.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you so very, very much indeed. I really do appreciate it. That is Kevin Bradley there with an interesting reflection on the result today, and I suppose what you'd expect from Kevin, Trudy.
Absolutely, extremely graceful there in defeat as well. So a huge congratulations to Kevin, and it was very, very sharp there at the end. They didn't hang around. They just made that quick announcement that we thought it was going to actually take longer.
Yep.
So I mean, no numbers, nothing, just the elimination.
And I think that was a testimony, wasn't it, to the sort of work that had been done earlier.
It has been done all day. I mean, that was very quick. I do know there's not a lot of people that aren't actually here in the centre at the minute. They didn't expect to be back so quickly. But at the minute now, they are currently straight into the distribution now of Kevin Bradley's votes. A quick rundown on the tally earlier on of where Kevin Bradley's votes we anticipate will go.
This is really important, yeah.
It is very important, and I suppose we're looking now at currently we have Kevin Bradley's votes being distributed. So Mary T is obviously looking to pick up an awful lot of those votes to catch up with Donegal County. I mean, she currently needs 104, isn't it, to catch up with Donegal. And then, obviously, he's going to get transfers. So the tally that we're looking at now from Kevin Bradley's distribution, in and around these numbers, they are equally getting. They're very, very equal. I'm not giving you a rough number, but I probably can, around the 90 mark. Yeah. So give or take a few votes either side of that, we anticipate that both Donegal County and Mary T will get a very similar distribution from Kevin Bradley's votes.
And obviously, to close the gap, there was a minimum that Mary T. Sweeney would have to have got, but then you'd have to double that too, wouldn't you? Because obviously there's going to be to pass out. Okay, yeah.
And I suppose on the other end of that, what we're looking at now as well is the fact that Kieran Brogan only needs 7 now to reach the quota. So, I mean, we anticipate he's going to get that, obviously, with this distribution. Jimmy Kavanagh currently needs 104 votes to reach the quota, and again, going from the tallies that people were looking at there from the distribution of Kevin's votes, it is very, very likely that Jimmy Kavanagh will now reach the quota as well.
And other than sort of that being a fact, do candidates see that as something as significant? If you know what I mean, does it matter? Other than obviously, it's for the record.
I suppose
the record's important.
I'm not a candidate. I have never been. I probably never will be.
Probably.
But I think it's nice to reach the quota. Maybe for some people, I think that's one of the things. And I mean, it'd be nice. Jimmy might reach that quota. It's likely that he will. And then after that, Donegal Coyle will possibly not reach the quota, but will be deemed elected in that seat number 7.
Yeah, and I would say there's a lot of people, the way the human mind works, that didn't vote for Kevin Bradley, and they'll be watching back this interview or listen back to it and go, oh God, if just another 100 of us had. It's funny, isn't it?
Or 5.
Yeah, or 5 for that
or
matter.
5,
but I mean, he probably still wouldn't have caught
Mary T.
Probably still wouldn't have caught Donegal
Coyle, exactly. That's the big thing that we're looking at the end of the day. It's Donegal Coyle that is currently in that 7th position. So that's the seat that Mary T has her eye on now. Yeah. So.
And someone asking, with the population of Letterkenny, is it not big enough for an extra seat? The quota's 1629. That's about the quota we see right across the constituency. So I'm not sure there's justification for an 8th seat in Letterkenny. I mean, they're well represented as is.
I suppose when you look at the other constituencies as well,
I mean,
it's relevant. Milford has 3, and the quota there was higher as well. So,
and it's up to the public too to vote people in where they want them. So if you want 3, you could have had 3 or 4 town-based councillors.
But people also have to come out and vote. And I mean, I don't have the exact percentage of the vote there, but I mean, a lot of the places the vote was at 50%. I mean, one of the higher votes was 60-odd%. And, that's, I suppose, if you look at the fact that they don't have to vote, if it was a case that people had to vote and you're at 100% vote, how things are going to change then if that ever happened,
Yeah, and I mean, you'd almost want to poll those that don't vote. Is it life's too busy? Is it they don't care? Or is it a protest? And I would say a protest and not caring are two separate things, because sometimes you can feel like, you can feel the powers that be aren't there for you, really,
Yeah, and also I suppose some people think, my vote won't matter, that vote won't matter, but it does. It always does. And it's just to get into that frame of mind as well, that your vote does count. You're entitled to vote, and people should use that and use their voice. And as well as that then, if they do need something from the councillors and you're going to look for help, it's important that you vote for that, and that you actually then can go and say, well, I used my vote. And, you're kind of like, right, it's my right now as well to... Not that people don't have the right if they don't vote, but I just think it's nice that you have voted.
I think it gives you, I couldn't find another word for it, it gives you, I think, a better mandate to say,
Yeah, you're entitled. Exactly, yeah, I think so.
Right, okay, so the way things are at the moment, and this isn't necessarily locked in, but it is as close as you're going to get. Donald Mandy Kelly, of course, it seems like a week since he topped the poll. Thomas Sean Devine, 100% redress, he's in, of course. Jerry McMonigal of Sinn Féin, who is already in as well. Fianna Fáil's Kieran Brogan will exceed the quota, we believe.
Oh, absolutely. He's only waiting on 7.
Yeah, Jimmy Kavanagh, you're expecting him now to exceed the quota.
I would expect it, yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because they're in anyway.
Doesn't matter, exactly.
Independent Michael McBride, he's been ever present here, actually. I think he's been the most consistently present. Actually, Donald Mandy Kelly's been here much of the day too, but those that have...
and Donald Coyle has been here all day.
And Donald
well,
Coyle is,
here. And very patient. They're very patient as well.
Very patient indeed. And that's it. Kevin Bradley's going to lose his seat. Do you want to join us over here, Doreen? Or I don't know if you're just listening or if you want to come in and sit in beside us, because we are edging closer. Now, how long do you think this process would take? Just looking over to your right shoulder there.
It'll be very fast. They're very fast. They went, as soon as that announcement was made, those votes were handed to the workers over here, and they have them going into the pigeonholes, and they're very fast. And you can see the eyes on the pigeonholes there. The talliers are over there wondering how many votes their candidates are going to get now with this distribution. So it is getting exciting here.
And I think what we'll probably see is as a pattern develops and as we start seeing numbers, that those tallies people will start backing off the inevitability of Donald Coyle's re-election.
Yeah.
All right, okay, so very gracious, as always, Kevin Bradley. He says, don't be sad. He's not sad. He can walk down the main street in peace now. He can go to the post office with his dog. As I said to him, I'm not sure that's how it works, but anyway, I think we've all been in agreement that it's a bit of a pain that we're so far into Monday to get this resolved, but but as well to do it than not do it.
Yeah, I think he was right to do it, but I also think this isn't over. I can't see this just being just even with this decision now. I'm hearing coming in here that, there are other challenges that could be out there.
From Ain to?
Well, from people within the hall who feel that maybe they're not questioning the procedure at the moment, but they're actually looking at something. So there's legal advice being sought. And
we're not going to divulge too much information here.
I have to speculate. We're speculating on this.
I do understand, but I mean, is it someone who's missed out that is...
someone who feels they're still within the loop.
Okay, so that must be Aintu then, obviously. It must be Mary.
I haven't been speaking to Aintu. I'm just saying what I've heard from people on the ground.
I'm afraid that's not enough information even to speculate.
But but I'm throwing it out there.
Yeah, without naming, I suppose we won't name anybody, but I suppose what Doreen is trying to say is that the possibility of a candidate looking for a full recount from the very start.
When would that be triggered, or how does that get triggered? Does that happen tonight? As unlikely or likely as it might be, is that something that would happen tonight?
I wouldn't even be worried about what's happening here. I would be worried how further it would go. I'm thinking of elsewhere.
Yes, but there has to be, of course, but there has to be grounds for it. And I do understand we're speculating, but I mean, we have to talk to what might the grounds be for such a...
I mean, it seems like, that announcement was made. Kevin Bradley was eliminated. They're carrying on with the process now. Yeah. They're going to elect the councillors. We anticipate that. we're going to get the 7 seats tonight. The councillors are going to be named. What happens after that?
Do you think there was enough done in relation to the spoiled votes that were out there? Do you think everything was looked at? Do you think there's any angle on that?
I suppose I wasn't. What needed to be done, the people that were around the table yesterday that were scrutinising all of the votes that were looked at between all the candidates, I wasn't in the middle of that. And I mean, there was a lot of the candidates and their agents in looking at those votes, and there was an awful lot of them.
So we've had the votes. We had the votes scrutinised during the process. We've had them scrutinised during the first recount. We've had them scrutinised during the second recount. Unless I'm missing something, and I don't often miss something, I'm just curious as to where the...
We are missing something, because the quality of the talliers, no matter what party I'm talking about, has not been up to the standard of what it would have been years ago. And I just feel the talliers. No, the talliers. Oh, no, the talliers. So therefore, the talliers haven't been, there were some today and this morning that were very good and very shrewd, and it took a long time, and they got to the bottom of, they got 20 whatever votes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean,
so therefore, if that was done by other candidates in the same manner and in the same way.
But that's up to the candidates to do that.
I know that.
Yes, but just in relation to that, right? Mary T. Sweeney and her team were the ones that were scrutinising earlier on this morning, okay?
Yes.
And they, by their own admission, don't necessarily have the numbers of their experience. They've said that themselves to me.
Yeah.
That being said, such was the level of scrutiny that when it went the second time round and there was much more people here and perhaps people with more experience, there were very little discrepancies found thereafter. So again, unless I'm missing something glaringly obvious, we've had them checked 3 times now, effectively, and
I'm generally talking not necessarily about today. I'm talking generally about people who tallied initially and people who were looking for various things. And the standard of tallying has to be better, I think. I'm not talking about any political party. Do you know what I mean?
At the same time, I don't see how. I really don't get this, right, because if I'm hearing what you're saying, there's absolutely nothing to suggest that a full recount would have any material impact in anyone's favour whatsoever.
But I think the quality, I mean, I knew you were talking about the talliers. The way you have a lot more experience than me, Doreen, we all know that.
But not in the tallying, not in the tallying, but I'm just learning.
The way I look about the tallying is the talliers are there as an agent for their candidate. The people that are counting are the ones that are doing the job. And I mean, if a candidate doesn't have the experienced talliers there or themselves to do that, it's up to them to find them and to train people to do that. But the tallying, I think...
Are you saying that the tallying was a distraction to the counters? Is that what you're
saying?
No,
I'm not.
But is it not the count that matters, not the tallying? It's the count that matters.
I'm not sure I want to go any further down that rabbit hole.
It is the count that matters. It is the count that matters. But no, the tallying is an outside job, because regardless, because if any trouble ever happened here, we'd all be put out, and the counting would continue, because that's the bottom line. But I'm just saying, I feel it's something in the future that people and different parties, independents, whatever, have to look at and to have their teams up. And I'm not necessarily saying it's any political party in particular. I'm just saying I feel that's something we need to learn about. We were learning today in relation to where everything went, in relation to proportions, in relation.
How do you think that's going to?
I don't know how. I think it's going to help
affect this today, though. I mean, the count to me is going to finish whenever the 7 candidates are named elected. The talliers are not relevant to what the count is and what the final vote is.
Well, I'll rest my case until
I know, but it's just too ambiguous for me.
You think I'm just throwing it in there?
I certainly don't. I don't know, but as I say, I'm not the brightest spark, but normally I can see through the language or read between the lines, and on this one, I'm afraid I can't.
You think I'm on a flying on that one? Do you?
No, I just don't get. I just don't grasp it. But that's fine. Listen, it's a conversation. Right, we are live here from the Ora Leisure Centre in Letterkenny. We do apologise for breaking into Monday night sessions, and we really do appreciate Paul and particularly the guests' generosity in facilitating this. But obviously this is an incredible, vital part of democracy and is an end to an incredibly busy week. And I can see from our live stream and from the messages we're getting from listeners as well that there still is a great deal of interest in this. We're hoping to have this all wrapped up sooner rather than later. We're going to take a break. Come back to us here at the Ora Leisure Centre for more in just a few moments.
The blockbuster production of Wicked returns to the Bord Gáis Energy Theatre Dublin, featuring Oscar and Grammy Award-winning music. Highland Radio are not missing out. Join us on Friday, the 9th of August, as we take part in the magic. Your place includes luxury transfers, overnight stay in the 4-star City North Hotel Dublin, and your ticket to the show. Call us today on 074 91 25000 or book your place through the outlet at highlandradio.com.
I've been surfing all morning at FlemingLTD.com to find out about Fleming doors, Fleming steel and Fleming coatings and their full range of products. So come surfing with me at FlemingLTD.com. Fleming 91 48 234.
Coming this year to Dublin for the very first time. 71 shows completely sold out. Hamilton at the Bord Gáis Energy Theatre. Experience the revolutionary musical that's taken the world by storm. Witness history come alive with electrifying performances and unforgettable music with a modern twist. Book your place now on the outlet at highlandradio.com or call us on 074 91 25000.
The moment you got told the good news.
Rob, you made the panel.
When the lads added you into the group. Skipping nights out, missing the crack. Rewatching classics and learning new tricks. Being driven to the biggest game of your life by your mam. And then you finally come on in the 51st minute. It's the minor moments that last a lifetime. The Electric Ireland GAA Minor Championships. This is major.
Welcome to Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms in Donegal Town. Discover affordable luxury with our bespoke fitted furniture solutions. With almost 30 years of serving Ireland and the Northwest, we're your trusted experts. Visit us Monday to Thursday 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. with late night openings Fridays until 7. Book your free consultation today on 074 9725 822 or visit cherrymore.ie. Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, where affordability and luxury combine.
Okie doke, you are tuned to Monday night sessions. This is Greg Hughes here. Apologies to Jimmy, Paul and guests, but we're about to wrap up things in the Letterkenny Municipal District. But if it's all right with you guys back at base, we might switch and take the news at 9 just to see what updates there are from the European tallies. So we'll be back after the news. We'll hopefully get things sorted. But at 9 o'clock, we'll go to Dublin for a national news update.
At 9, good evening, I'm Tina Gates. The Sinn Féin leader has admitted the party ran too many candidates in the local elections. With all of the first local election counts complete, Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil are clearly ahead. However, Mary Lou MacDonald maintains her party's ready for a general election and has called on the government parties to bring it on.
It is obvious that now that we ran too many candidates. We ran a great, talented slate of people. As you know, we wanted to give everyone the opportunity to vote for Sinn Féin across all of the local election areas. Our candidates were fantastic. They worked really, really hard. And yeah, I'm really disappointed that we didn't get more of them over the line.
Aontú leader Peadar Tóibín believes it's between himself and two other candidates to win a seat in the Midlands Northwest constituency. It's now hoped there will be a first count in Castlebar shortly. Luke Ming Flanagan, Barry Cowan, Maria Walsh and Nina Cabri all look likely to win seats. However, there could be as many as 4 candidates fighting it out for the 5th and final seat. Peadar Tóibín thinks it would be too close to call between himself, Kieran Mullooly, and Sinn Féin's Michelle Gildernew.
Well, it's hard to know. I do think that Kieran and myself are most likely to be at similar levels. He may be a little bit higher. I laughed when Kieran said he was annoyed with RT for not putting him on the RT show. A man that's only known because he was 20 years on RT, it was a little bit ironic. But there'll be Kieran, there'll be myself, and I think the 2 Sinn Féin candidates will be there.
A close eye is being kept on transfers in the race to become Limerick's new mayor. After the 5th count in the last few minutes, independent John Moran remains in the lead. Local Fianna Fáil TD Willie O'Dea is happy with the party's performance, but thinks independent candidates have an advantage in this election.
I did feel during the course of the campaign that a lot of people were looking for some non-political person, some person who to run the city. They weren't electing. They didn't see themselves. A lot of people didn't see themselves as electing a politician. they saw themselves as electing an executive, somebody with the ability to run the city, which probably explains the strength of John Morton's vote.
A first count announcement for the Ireland South constituency is expected in the next hour or so. It's virtually certain the returning officer will announce Fine Gael MEP Sean Kelly as the winner of the first seat there. Counting's expected to end after that and will continue in the morning. But nobody will be elected as an MEP for the Dublin constituency until at least tomorrow. 11 counts have taken place, with little change at the top of the order. Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael lead the way, while the Green Party, Independent Ireland and Labour are all part of the chasing pack. Sinn Féin's Lynn Boylan, currently polling third, has been explaining how she's passing her time in the RDS.
I love counts, but it's always nicer when you're not the candidate. So, it's great to see the democratic process in action, where it's very transparent in Ireland how it works. But it's long wait, so I have my knitting with me and I'll be occupying myself that way to try and stay off the phone.
In other news, Gardaí have launched a murder investigation following the death of a man in Finglas in Dublin at the weekend. 34-year-old Mark Carroll was found with serious injuries early yesterday following reports of a stabbing at a house in the Scribblestown area. He was later pronounced dead at Connolly Hospital in Blanchardstown. A post-mortem's been completed. Gardaí say the results are not being released for operational reasons. Gardaí are appealing for witnesses after a man was seriously assaulted at Ongar in Dublin overnight. The man in his 20s was taken to Connolly Hospital, Blanchardstown, for treatment shortly after midnight. Investigations are ongoing. And US Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in the Middle East tonight, trying to breathe life into the ceasefire deal for Gaza. There's been no response to the proposal made last month by US President Joe Biden, and there are concerns it's lost momentum. That's your latest news update at 9:04.
Okay, thank you very much.
Now, and to athletics, and Rashida Adeleki has claimed her second medal of the European Championships in Rome. The Tala sprinter took silver in the women's 400 metres after being pipped to the line by Poland's Natalia Kazmarek. Bronze went to Leah Cleaver of the Netherlands, and Charlene Maudsley had to settle for 8th position. Nicola Tuttle is 8 after 2 rounds of the women's hammer, with her second throw her best, 69.09 metres. Earlier today, Andrew Koskinen booked his place in Wednesday's final of the men's 1500 metres with a 5th place finish in his heat. And Ciara McGeehan was presented with her gold medal this evening, having won the women's 1500 last night. The Portaferry athlete says it was an emotional experience hearing the anthem played on her behalf in Rome.
A very emotional one. Hearing all the Irish sing around the vein as I'm standing up there was give me chills and give me tears in my eyes. But such a beautiful moment and something that I've been dreaming of for a long time.
In soccer, Stephen Kenny's been reunited with his former Dundalk captain Brian Gartland at St Pat's. Gartland has joined the Inchicore club as Kenny's assistant, having spent 18 months as Dundalk's head of football operations. During their time together at Dundalk, Kenny and Gartland won 4 league titles, 2 FAI Cups and reached the group stage of the Europa League. In rugby, Tom Ahern's chances of making the Ireland squad for next month's tour of South Africa have evaporated. The Munster forward must see a specialist with surgery a possibility after he sustained an ankle injury in the URC quarter-final win over the Ospreys. Joey Carberry has played his final game for the province, having undergone surgery on a thumb injury, but Alex Nankivell is in contention for Saturday's semi-final with Glasgow after missing Munster's last 2 games, also with an ankle injury. And that's your latest news and sport at 9:06.
Okay, thank you very much indeed for that. We're going to have to put the podium live because I think we're going to be getting an announcement very soon here at the Ora Leisure Centre in Letterkenny. The votes of Kevin Bradley, 1,008 votes have been distributed. We're just waiting for official announcement from the podium here over my shoulder. At this point, we're expecting Jerry McMonigal to be elected, not to be confirmed yet, but of course already we have Thomas Sean Devine, 100% redress, elected, it seems like a lifetime ago. Donald Mandy Kelly also elected. He reached the quota as well. In fact, he smashed the quota on 1629. And Councillor Jerry McMonigal is about, we believe, to be announced officially. Of course, we know that he is going to retain his seat, but he's about to be announced officially. And you know what? Until such time as it's announced from that podium there, really, you don't actually know. A little later on, we should have Jimmy Kavanagh. Elected, Michael McBride non-party being elected, and then the person who for the longest time in Donegal was uncertain of his future, that of course was Donal Coyle. He did very well, we understand, in the should I say, sorry, just in terms of the votes that were spread around the place, he did well enough. He picked up 3, I believe, there, but Mary T. Sweeney also on the same number. So, in other words, not enough votes. With everything that we've been through, there was not enough votes transferable from Kevin Bradley for Mary T. Sweeney to close the gap. But that being said, it still was very much her right, of course, to lodge that appeal. And to call for a recount. That recount was granted, of course. Kevin Bradley then ended up 5 votes behind, and of course also it's very much his right to seek a recount. That's all been done. So we're expecting now the 13th. We're expecting now the 3rd. Did I say Jerry McMonigal was about to be elected? He was elected yesterday evening. Sorry, it's Kieran Brogan that is expected to be elected next. Come over here to me, Trudy, if that's all right. So I think I'm sleep deprived. 3.5 hours sleep last night. Been here since the crack of dawn. But next up, 13. 1 or 2 across the line. Jimmy Kavanagh, is he likely to get elected along with Kieran Brogan?
Yes, Jimmy. It looks like Jimmy has now exceeded the quota. So going from tallying here, before it's announced, Jimmy looks like he has received 158 votes. He needed 104 to reach that quota. So Jimmy Kavanagh will be elected along with Kieran Brogan in the next count.
So do we have any tallies? I was reading incorrect figures as it relates to the transfer of Kevin Bradley's votes. As I say, the mind is lost at this stage, but we are pretty certain, aren't we, that whatever votes are usable from Kevin Bradley, it's not going to materially affect the outcome of this. We're not going to see Mary T. Sweeney climb above Donal Coyle. That's pretty much locked in now.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I suppose the other thing is Kieran Brogan is getting a substantial amount as well of Kevin Bradley's distribution, which will bring him a high enough surplus as well. Now again, there'll be a percentage of that distributed, but his surplus will also be going to Donal Coyle, not Mary T.
So how many counts have we left then? Count 13, count 14 should close us out?
Yes, well, we also have Michael McBride to be elected as well, so count 13 will be the next count, and that will deem Kieran Brogan and all going well Jimmy Kavanagh as well elected. After that then they will have, if the surplus that they have does affect and possibly will have somebody else reach the quota, they will then distribute that, and then that will be another count. Then after that it will be deem another, we presume, Michael McBride deem elected, possibly without reaching the quota, and Donal Coyle as well.
Yeah. Now, I was handed a piece of paper in good spirit. I actually inadvertently thought it was the results of count 13 and went off on a 3 or 4 minute tangent that meant nothing. But so do we know how far away we are actually for a declaration count 13? Any estimations?
I think it's not very far off, to be honest. I mean, the majority of the counters there have actually finished the distribution, so they're just checking over things now as well. So it's definitely not very far off whenever we should see another 2 councillors elected.
But I don't see anyone with a jacket on, that's the concern.
Well, I don't think it's too far away, though. It's never too far away. Did he put on a jacket today, actually?
Oh, I think actually, no, for the last, for the last announcement, no jacket.
Maybe the jacket is whenever he's actually deeming a councillor elected. Maybe it's for the special occasion.
Or he started to think it's bad luck.
Possibly.
Thanks very much indeed. But before we let you go, obviously we're here doing our thing. You're here helping us out, but of course you're in here supporting the candidate as well. It's been a long couple of days for the staff, hasn't it? Because, they probably thought they were all going to get wrapped up with a late night last night. Home late. Some of them had an hour to travel home, then an hour back in the morning. They'll sleep well tomorrow when we finally get this wrapped up.
I think we all will, and as well as that, it's not just the count. It wasn't the tallying in here on Saturday. People were voting on Friday. So, I mean, people were at those polling booths from 7 o'clock, and prior to that, getting the polling booths ready that morning and the night before. So, I mean, this has been a process. Never mind the canvassers and all of the candidates out as well, but for the workers here in the counters, I mean, they're on the booths as well all day Friday, and prior to that, Thursday, getting things ready. So, I mean, there's a lot of tired people here tonight, but the adrenaline is keeping everybody going. So.
And it's one of those things too. What's interested me is, and I'm delighted to see such a fantastic interest in our coverage, and you see it on social media. Donegal News, Donegal Daily, everyone's at it. By the way, there's more shows in town than us. Don't get me wrong. And then we see the turnout. The turnout in about 50 odd percent. We don't know the exact turnout just yet. I don't know how we get more people involved. I certainly wouldn't be in favour of compelling anyone to vote. I think it should be a free choice, right? And maybe not voting is some sort of a protest in and of itself. But I just wonder, what can we do to transfer this interest as the election's ongoing, post-vote, into votes pre-election, if that makes sense.
Well, I suppose something for me, personally, I think it actually comes from the schools. I think whenever children are at secondary schools, there's a lot of secondary school students that are 18 and they're eligible to vote at that age. So if you actually, have it at that point where in school they're being taught about elections.
60,000 Leaving Cert students were entitled to vote this year.
Exactly. Now, as well, this year, for whatever reason, the election took place during the state exams. I know 5 years ago they were 2 weeks earlier as well, so it didn't impact that. I suppose there was different venues because of the state exams happening. But, if you're looking for, I suppose, to encourage people to vote, you have to instill that in them at a younger age,
And it's just education, isn't it? I think the Youth Council does fantastic work in that regard, but you don't want something like that to just be for students with an interest in politics having an outlet for it. It's about educating students who perhaps don't have an interest in politics to take that interest.
Yeah, it's their entitlement to have their vote, and I think to use their democratic voice as well. And I know you're saying you don't think it should be compulsory, and absolutely not, but we do know in other countries it is compulsory to vote. And in certain places, if you don't actually vote, you don't get any social welfare. It affects things humongously. So I don't know how that's going to affect things here, but I think, I suppose, if we're going to encourage people to vote, it has to start at a younger age. You teach them, you encourage them and show them the effect it can have on things. Show them what the councillors do, show them how important it is, and encourage the councillors, and they do. Our councillors are fantastic. They have huge links with the schools. All the schools have a councillor on their board of management that work very, very closely as well. So, even for the councillors to encourage that as well throughout the schools, I think that could impact. You'd love to actually have a trial to see if it did impact it in 5 years, Be nice to see.
Or maybe you can't vape if you don't vote.
That is actually a really, really good idea.
We need to stop the kids vaping, folks. I don't know how we're going to do it, but it's a bloody nightmare. Young ones getting addicted to nicotine and they've never smoked a cigarette in their life. I am going off on one here. It's funny you mentioned the decision we made, big royal we there, a decision to hold a general election during the state exams, not a general election, local election, especially when there was an additional 60,000 students entitled to the vote. They tried to spin that, to say, you can't necessarily control the outcome of your results, but you can control. I thought that was an admittance of defeat. It was a little bit like holding a discussion about women's place in the home, the word woman to some extent in the referendum on International Women's Day. I just wish they'd consult with some regular people on some of this stuff.
Yeah, and again, I don't know why that happened. I suppose I was superintending the exams as well last week, so it impacts humongously as well. And I think for some voters that have been voting in the same place for years and years and years, the secondary schools were not polling booths this year as well, so they had different places they were voting. They were turning up to where they've always voted for years, and then there was no vote there. That's people, that have just been, again, taken for granted that's where they're going to vote, possibly not looking at their polling card to say where they're going to vote. But, it had an impact possibly as well on that.
Well, you don't do anything to compete with the process, right? So if you think, if you have, sorry to keep using this figure, folks, but say you've 60,000 students who can vote for the first time, right? You do everything you can, if you care, to ensure that there are the least amount of barriers to voting. Not that they also have an exam on that day. No one can make that make sense to me.
Exactly. And on Friday afternoon there was the Leaving Cert Honours Maths Paper 2, which is a massive paper, and those students that are 18, that's what they're worried about at that stage. They're worried about their Leaving Cert and the pressure amongst that. And it's grand, people did say, but the polling booths open at 7 o'clock. If you've children that have gone through their Leaving Cert, how do you at 7 o'clock say, right, come on now, let's vote, when in their mind?
How do you get them out of bed?
Well, exactly, but that's on their mind is, whether they're panicked about getting out of bed or not. You'd think it would be the leaving cert, not necessarily, oh, I'm going to vote now. So, I mean, it definitely, possibly deterred those younger ones, but definitely it didn't encourage them or help them.
And then, as you say, you layer into that the regular polling places not being available. And as I say, we can never determine what kind of an impact that has. But again, it's another barrier potentially in place. Doesn't make sense.
Well, they didn't make it any easier for people to vote, I think, put it that way. So, I mean, again, all the speculation is happening, but we're never going to know exactly what the facts are. But looking at those things that we've just spoken about there, they definitely didn't help.
And the one thing that kind of bothers me about the way this country works at times is that I didn't hear anyone from the opposition or any other parties for that matter saying, hold on a second, something doesn't make sense here. Maybe they did. If they did, I apologise, but I didn't, yet you see people write letters to the newspaper, call in our radio station, someone like yourself even making the comment here, a common sense comment. Why did no one talk about this before?
I have no idea. And I mean, I suppose I'm saying it here today. I didn't push it through to anywhere else. But I mean, I think when you get a date of the local election, for us, that's it. It's set in stone, And I suppose, again, how am I going to change that? But I suppose, again, if enough of us do look about changing it, it possibly could have happened.
Okay, Trudy, thank you very much for that. Trudy O'Donnell is with us until we sort of wrap things up here. We're live from the Ora Leisure Centre. We don't want you to miss a thing. We've covered every single election here right across Donegal, from the John Bosco Centre to the Highlands Hotel to Carndonagh Community School and over to the Finn Valley. So we want to make sure that the people of Letterkenny are served in the same way. We are very close to getting another announcement which will see Kieran Brogan and Jimmy Kavanagh elected, and joining Thomas Sean Devine, Donald Mandy Kelly and Jerry McMonigal as councillor. So that will leave seat 6 and seat 7 up for grabs, but they're not up for grabs because sitting in his seat pretty much already by the official announcement, of course, is independent Michael McBride. And it's been a nervous couple of days for Fianna Fáil's Donald Coyle. 2 recounts, things haven't materially changed. He is going to be taking the 7th seat. Any further information for us, Trudy?
Yeah, the inside information, obviously. Looking now from the tallies there from Kevin Bradley's distributions, it looks like Donald Coyle has got 96. Mary T has 115, and as we kind of did predict earlier on, Jimmy Kavanagh is getting 158. I don't have a final number for what Kieran Brogan has got yet, but it's a substantial amount. He only needs 7 to get him over the line and deem him elected. But going from that, with Donald Coyle receiving 96, Mary T receiving 115, she's nowhere near. She needed double what Donald Coyle was getting to actually surpass him.
And to whatever our other guest, of course, the inimitable Doreen Sheridan Kennedy was talking to here, does it matter at this point that although it's not enough, that gap between Mary T. Sweeney and Donald Coyle has tightened, but it's too wide, isn't it really? It's 80 odd, 85 votes.
Yeah, you're still talking the guts of 90 votes really there. So I mean, I don't know that it justifies anything else happening tonight anyway, but we'll see. Watch the space. I don't know what Doreen was referring to earlier. She had something there. She wasn't divulging too much information, but possibly nothing that will happen tonight. It might be something that she was referring to might happen in the coming days, but it will not impact anything that's going to happen here tonight. Fingers crossed we will see 7 seats filled here by 7 candidates that have spent a long few days waiting for their moment, so fingers crossed that will happen soon.
Brilliant stuff. If you know what they're talking about, 08660 25,000 is the WhatsApp and text number. Actually, don't use that. Well, you can. We still have access to it here. You can comment on our live stream. Listen, thank you very much for sticking with us over the last couple of days, and sorry to be breaking into regular programming again this evening. But as I said to you, we have seen and listened to everyone being elected, and we're going to offer the same service for the very important people of Letterkenny. But what we might do now is take a break, or we might take that quick break. So Joe's going to fire that break. Stay tuned. We'll be back very shortly with more and perhaps an announcement very shortly.
The Mother and Baby Institution's payment scheme is now open for applications. This scheme provides financial payments and health supports to eligible people who spend time in mother and baby and county home institutions in Ireland. There's a straightforward application process in place to help everyone access the benefits that they are entitled to. To find out more, visit gov.ie/payment scheme or call the helpline at 01 522 9992, an initiative of the Government of Ireland.
Bogamid Fuinevs na Heran. Trichand and Aline Rí Gás is nua Aimshres in Europe. A cor and Fuinev atag tastal wet fáil inniu fud na tíre. Agus anis tá Fuinev na Heran á bhoga agwin bhealach nua. Ag tuairt Fuin sí níos inbhuanathe isteach sa fíblina. Gas Networks Ireland, moving Ireland's energy.
Hello, my name's Enda Walsh, and I'm a dairy farmer from Ormore, County Galway. In Ireland, we're always looking for a better cow. A cow that's healthier, happier and longer lived. A cow that gives us more milk of a higher quality with specific health benefits. A cow that has a lower carbon footprint. We're finding that better cow through our world-leading breeding programs based on years of science and research. I'm speaking on behalf of the National Dairy Council, everyone's dairy.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the Ora Leisure Centre here in Letterkenny as we edge towards the conclusion of the local elections in Donegal, and we are waiting for Count 13, the public statement after Count 13. And just to recap for those tuning in, switching on for the first time, what will happen there is we will see the election certainly of Kieran Brogan and also the likely election of Jimmy Kavanagh. But I suppose the emerging news is that we have tallies from the distribution of Kevin Bradley's 1,008 votes. All of them aren't going to be in play because Kevin Bradley is, as we heard from Trudy, very likely to transfer well to Kieran Brogan. And Mary T. Sweeney did get more of his votes than Donald Coyle, but hasn't closed the gap significantly, or certainly hasn't closed it significantly enough. So Donald Coyle is going to take the last seat, seat 7, with an advantage of about 90 odd votes over Mary T. Sweeney of Aintu, who I'm sure it will be a mix of emotions. The pleasure, of course, of doing so well, but of course the heartbreak. Ultimately, you don't enter a competition like this or run for election to lose out to the sake of 90 votes. So really what we're doing at this point is we are just running down the clock in the hope that announcement comes soon. I'd hand back to the guys in studio, but unfortunately, just as soon as I might do that, we might have an announcement here because it is very, very soon to happen. As you can imagine, because of all of the scrutiny of votes earlier on and what have you, because of the scrutiny of votes and what have you, they're going to double check, triple check absolutely everything. Some of you commenting on our social medias, and we do appreciate you doing so. Patrick says, the length of that Euro paper, there must be a better way. Indeed, and you know, I mean, if you're at the top of that paper as well, you potentially could be advantaged. People might lose interest as you scroll down it, but it's also quite difficult to deal with. It's over, what is it, 28 inches long, 2 foot 4 inches. There must be a better way. A caller says, well done, Greg, for 2 days of presenting the election in West Donegal. Brilliant radio coverage. Fantastic as well, listen, and covering you in West Donegal. Of course, we had Oisin and Shannon, and it was an absolute pleasure, and we were really well looked after by all the crew at the Highlands Hotel as usual. To be magnanimous in defeat is a quality that tells you more about a person than winning every will. That comes in from Hugh, who's being quite, what would you say? I can't remember the word, but anyway, I think you know the word I'm on about. Just wondering, did any women get elected in my native Donegal? That comes in from Niamh, who's watching. Well, Niamh, we did have 3 women elected. We had 3 women going from the outgoing council. So out of 37, it's not a fantastic return. It's about 6 or 7%. And when you consider women make up almost 51% of the population, that's a conversation for another day. I don't know how that circle is squared. But that being said, there were a lot of women in the field, and people choose who to vote for, and they're not going to vote just based on someone's gender either. It's a debate worth having, but Who's to say? C's been with us a couple of most of the time. See, I've saw you pop up there with your comments over the course of the last couple of days. You could wallpaper the house with that election sheet. Yeah, okay. Sinead pointed out, Niamh Kennedy in Donegal Town. Niamh Kennedy was worried, wasn't she? She was worried for a time that she wasn't going to get in. She told Donna Marie down in the Donegal Town yesterday that she had a speech prepared for concession. And then things turned around, and such is the wonder of politics and transfers and proportional representation and all of that. Well done, Greg, on real coverage, and thanks from Catherine and Maria McGrory. Catherine and Maria McGrory, thank you so very much. We really do appreciate your feedback. We had massive amounts of people watching over the weekend, continue to do so as well. Thanks for the coverage. It was great. Do you know if you have to put down a deposit to run in a general election, and how do you get it back? I'm not really quite sure. In the European elections, I don't think you have to put down a deposit if you're part of a party. You do if you're an individual. How do you get it back? You exceed a certain amount of votes. I'm not really quite sure what that number is just off the top of my head. Castlefin Cabs. Well done, Greg and Highland team. Listen, thank you very much for that. Niamh, back to us. Thanks for answering. I now live in County Roscommon. Okay, Niamh, great to have you on board, and it's great that you're able to access your home county via this medium as well. Ollie Murray says, well done, Greg, for 2 days of presenting the elections. Okay, Ollie, I read that one twice, but you know what? It's nice to get the nice ones too. Adele says, Adele Corcoran, Adele's watching us on Facebook, Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael probably didn't want the youth to vote. They were scared. I don't know. I think there's a misconception, isn't there, that maybe just young people will automatically vote for maybe Sinn Féin's or Independents or others. I think an awful lot of young people can they not, to sort of vote along sort of family lines or make up their own minds. You know, I think to presume that the Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil are sort of older persons' parties. I don't know. I think the days when any party, and even maybe Sinn Féin might be saying that themselves, presume anything, is the day you sort of maybe potentially make mistakes. We heard from Mary Lou MacDonald during the news there at 9 o'clock, conceding that they ran too many candidates. And it is quite interesting because we had a situation, didn't we, where they didn't run enough candidates in the general election. That was the contention, because they misread the mood of, and this isn't a criticism, by the way, simply an observation, that they didn't run enough candidates because they didn't really sort of gauge or get the full sense of how popular they were at that time. And then, of course, you know, you could say that the popularity in recent polls has dropped somewhat. And they say, Mary Lou MacDonald says, that they ran too many candidates. I don't know what went wrong or what went right maybe for other parties. Trudy has the perfect voice for radio. Yes, indeed, she does. And you hear her on the radio here as well. An incredibly talented musician and also presenter on Highland Radio. Patrick says Trudy's voice ideal for a late night radio show. Sinead's laughing at the little vape rant. Okay, well, you know, and it breaks my heart, and I see it with people close to me. I mean, smoking is a curse, right? But and for some people, you know, it can be a solution in that regard. It's just when you see young people who've becoming incredibly addicted to nicotine. Anyway, listen, Letterkenny can end up being split between those above the high road and those below the low road. I'm not really sure how that works. I'm not from Letterkenny, and I'm brutal at geography. Joanne Wade, well done, Greg, and all the Highland team on fantastic coverage over the last few days. Thank you so very much, Joanne. And I'm not just speaking for the sake of it, folks. We are waiting for the public statement after count 13, and that will sort of start bringing us ever closer to where we need to be in terms of getting the 37 seats on Donegal County Council filled. And also, too, we want to speak to those who have been successful because it's really important. It's part of the process as well. We have already spoken to Donald Mandy Kelly. We also spoke with Thomas Sean Devine. We had a chat as well with Jerry McMonigal. Those three have been elected. Coming up next, we expect Kieran Brogan and Jimmy Kavanagh to be elected. And if their surpluses have a potential meaningful impact on the outcome of the election, then we'll have another quick count. Hopefully, Michael McBride there, and then Donald Coyle to be confirmed in their positions. Okay, so stay tuned for that. Claire Houston, thanks very much, Claire, watching us on Facebook this evening. Well done, Greg and team. Great coverage. That comes from Claire and family in Newmills. Lovely to have you on board, and thanks. It's great to see so many of you back with us just as we wrap this coverage up of the local elections. We've had a wonderful feedback, and it's so appreciated, and it's given the whole team at Highland Radio a really great lift, because we didn't know how things were going to work, and things went off well, so everyone's really proud. Huey says, Huey Catherine Boyle, I think that's one of those lovely couples, is it, that share a Facebook account? Huey Catherine Boyle, why don't Sinn Féin learn to count, aka too many, not enough, etc., etc. Michael says 2 more nationalists got elected today. I'm not sure. I haven't been able to keep a track of. What's happening nationally. I wonder, when we talk about nationalists, are you talking about the European elections, or is it likes of Gavin Pepper down in Dublin? Is that what you might count as a nationalist? And I'm not questioning it. I'm just haven't seen that terminology used in such a way before. Well done, Greg and team, says Anne Brogan. It's very much appreciated. Okay, right, stay with us. Again, I really am super conscious of all the effort that goes into organising Monday night sessions and the fantastic work that Jimmy and Paul do, and also conscious that perhaps there are fantastic artists that made their way to Letterkenny today, hopefully not too far, and I'm sure if we don't get to hear from them this evening, we certainly will get to hear from them in the not too distant future. But this is just something that we want to do, of course, but also have to do as part of the democratic process and our commitment to, I suppose, to serving the public from a broadcasting perspective. Back shortly.
The blockbuster production of Wicked returns to the Bord Gáis Energy Theatre Dublin, featuring Oscar and Grammy Award-winning music. Highland Radio are not missing out. Join us on Friday, the 9th of August, as we take part in the magic. Your place includes luxury transfers, overnight stay in the 4-star City North Hotel Dublin, and your ticket to the show. Call us today on 074 91 25000 or book your place through the outlet at highlandradio.com.
More rowning to umper pibli nuris fader, cowring to la hastiachti umper na hair na laidu. Anuri, glakdina fud na hair nos kion 3 million tourists vos nu rain. August chun cowru latim lina, tobiog noch 1 billion euro curher latif chun umper pibli nis glina, nis glisha, agus nis farach rohu. Maar kibby ought you will the real, to tovacht le the hurris. Jachterach do realtas na hair. Nis maola show gov.ie /your journey counts.
It's the Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring 70% off sale. Get up to 70% off on all your purchases. Up to 70% off all tiles, all wood flooring, all bathware. Everything's reduced in store. The 70% off sale at Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring. Stores nationwide. Sale extended until Sunday.
Okay, you're very welcome back to our final coverage of the local election 2024. It's me, Greg Hughes, and the team. We're broadcasting live from the Ora Leisure Centre. We're 5 minutes out now from the public declaration of Vote 13, and we are anticipating certainly Kieran Brogan being elected on this count. Jimmy Kavanagh may very well pass the threshold as well, excuse me. And hello to the just shy of 2,000 of you tuned in on a Monday night across our social media, on Facebook, on X, on YouTube, and on our website, highlandradio.com. Great to have you on board. Sarah Gallagher, well done, Greg, and Highland Radio team. Thanks so much, Sarah. Michael was back on just to clarify what he meant earlier on when he said nationalist politicians. Michael says, sorry, Quillian of the Irish National Party. I didn't see that actually, but as I say, I just haven't been able to keep an eye on what's happening nationally because I've been so focused on this part of the world as well. And also, let me see, an Irish Freedom Party TD. I don't know his name. Would that be Herman? No, was Herman running? Herman Kelly, was he running in Europe? Or I'm not sure he contested. But anyway, thanks for that. The Donegal Zeus. Thanks, Greg, for the fabulous coverage. I don't think we have such extensive coverage anywhere else in the country. Do you know what? I don't think we do, if the truth be told. And I know that might sound a bit big-headed, but you know what? We tried really, really hard, and we've got great listeners and all that stuff. Right, okay. I am going to make my way. I'm going to make my way over to the podium here now, because you can take over there. You need to stick up the podium fader there as well. Joe Dex, who's with us here. Okay, do we have the public declaration now from count 13? This is
Sean
Seamus
Alanis, Turhi, and 3 Huntus Jeg. The following is the result of the 13th count, which consisted of the distribution of Kevin Bradley's 1,008 votes. Brogan Kieran, Fianna Fáil, votes this count 201. Total votes 1,822, 1822. Coyle Donal, Fianna Fáil, votes this count 96. Total votes 1,212, 1212. Kavanagh Jimmy, Fine Gael, votes this count 160. Total votes 1,685, 1685. McBride Michael, non-party, votes this count 184. Total votes 1,572, 1572. And Sweeney Mary T. Ainty, votes this count 116. Total votes 1,129, 1129. Non-transferable papers not effective 251. As the votes of Kieran Brogan and Jimmy Kavanagh exceed the quota, I deem them to be elected.
Okay, and as you can see here, we have Jimmy Kavanagh being hoisted aloft, and we're going to get the same of a treatment over, I think, Councillor Kieran Brogan. It's the end of a long process for him. It hasn't been formally announced yet, but here we go. I think we're about to hear this announcement. Kieran Brogan,
I will
standing with his family,
proceed to distribute Kieran Brogan's surplus of 193 votes, as it is the largest surplus, and together with other surpluses not distributed, fulfills the following conditions. It exceeds the difference between the 2 lowest candidates and can elect a continuing candidate. Thank you.
Okay. Yes. A little bit of uncertainty there, but yes, Kieran Brogan is indeed elected, and he's up in the air. There's a bit of a false dawn there. We're going to wait till he gets down here and going to have a quick chat with him, and then we're going to nip over and chat to Jimmy Kavanagh. All right, okay, the hands up, the pictures are taken. You'll see those ones in your papers and on your favourite websites, what have you. Councillor Kieran Brogan, congratulations.
Thanks, Craig. Thank you very much.
It was a long time coming, wasn't it? And we were talking a little earlier on. It's a big campaign. It's a tough campaign, and you can't take your eye off the ball because the public can send you a message. They didn't have to this time. You did the work, and you were rewarded with the votes.
I'm absolutely delighted. Look, it's a huge honour. I always say it's a privilege for me being the candidate, but I think the team around me here plays a significant role in that, and I have a great team who's been loyal with me now for 25 years. So I just want to thank the team and dedicate this to the team because they're a great team. And look, we work hard at it, we work well together. It's a huge moment. I'm delighted, honoured and privileged to be here this evening with my mum and dad, Lorraine, and Melisha's here, Owen's at home studying for the Leaving Cert. But we have a great team, and look, I think it's very special. And for Fianna Fáil now, we're looking like we're taking the 3 seats. I'm delighted for Donal Mandy and the vote that he got, and his family, and indeed Donal Coyle now hopefully taking the last seat will be the icing on the cake. I think it's been a tough election for us, but we work hard and we work well together, and that will mean a lot to us going back to Lifford. And I think, look, politics is a tough game, but I think the one thing we had to do during the campaign was try and convince people that I wasn't safe. I was the same as everybody else. We got that message home, but it worked very well. And look, again, just to thank the team and thank each and every voter who voted for me in this election, because they're out there listening to you over the last few days in Highland Radio, and they mean a lot to me personally. So thank them all very much for that.
And it was a very competitive, packed field, wasn't it? You're quite right, you couldn't take anything for granted.
No, you had 18 candidates there, and look, I respect everybody who puts their name forward for politics, and it's a tough game, but they all deserve credit and they all deserve to be shown respect as well. And I'm glad for my team and my camp, we run run a very clean, respectable campaign, because it's very, very important how you conduct yourself out there, because if you don't, the electorate will remind you of that as well. And I'm very proud of the team I have around me, because the one thing they believe in doing is doing things right, and we've done that, and I'm very proud of that.
And last question, fantastic result for your party as a whole in Donegal.
Yeah, I'm very happy with it now. Unfortunately, we lost Jerry Crawford, a very close friend and a good colleague of mine, who served the party for 25 years. And I would like to win Jerry back in Lifford. But look, we had candidates who went forward on this occasion, were unsuccessful. They deserve a lot of credit, and I want to show my appreciation to them as well. They went forward for us as a party, and hopefully some of them will be back again. As I say, it's a tough game. There's winners and there's losers, and anyone who lost out in this, irrespective of what political affiliation they come, they deserve credit too, and our thoughts are with them and their families this time too.
Brilliant, Kieran. Thank you very much indeed. Congratulations, Councillor Kieran Broken. He's a councillor in Letterkenny for another 5 years. Let's see now if we can, the poll topper, Donald Mandy Kelly there, he's going over to congratulate his running mate. Pictures have just been taken here in the Fine Gael camp. We won't intrude on them because all the media have to have their opportunity to get their coverage. So I think it's the press that are in there now. Jimmy Kavanagh is surrounded by his... don't worry about her, she's just taking the video. Come here, how are you getting on? It's taken a while, how do you feel?
I feel great, Greg, I really do, and I'm so delighted for this bunch. We just worked so hard for it this time, and as you know, we had to work hard for it. It was the most difficult campaign I've had, but it was the most extensive one. We put in the effort, and we got the result in the end, and it's certainly worth waiting on.
What made it tough for you, do you think?
The one thing, Greg, defective concrete blocks, simple as that. Where I live in Glencar, there's basically 1.5 miles of defective blocks in every estate above me, and that certainly made things very, very difficult. But I would thank people for that I think they accepted that I had worked hard in the previous 5 and 10 years, and they didn't absolutely desert me, although it certainly did lose votes, and I completely understand that. But people did stand by the work that I'd done and did come out and support me, and I ended up getting more than I got the last time, even though I had a running mate the last time, which makes it different. But I'm delighted that in the end I got over the quota.
Yeah, and of course you mentioned the defective concrete. We have 100% redress in there now. Independent Frank McBurty and a number of other politicians. It shouldn't be forgotten that you and your party colleagues, particularly at council level, and we know from Joe McHugh's stance, get it, but there is a party line there. You would be hoping, wouldn't you, that over the next, a short while, and certainly over the lifetime of this council, that a broader, what would be seen as more inclusive, fairer scheme is brought together, and I presume you're all hopefully going to work in that direction?
Yeah, and I'm hoping, Greg, as well, that the review due now will make changes to it and improve things for people. What I will say is I did meet quite a few people on the canvas that had got work done on the scheme and were happy with it. So I would like to see the current scheme modified to an acceptable level for people rather than us looking to start something brand new again at this stage. Because what I did see too is situations where people's houses were falling down and they hadn't joined the scheme because they were waiting on this something better. And we don't know what the something better is going to be or when it's going to come.
Well, also too, and listen, this is conversations for another day. I'm going to let you get back to your fans and supporters, but you look at the outcome of this election, and people might be saying, well, what is the alternative? But as I say, that's perhaps a conversation for another day.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think we'll all be part of that conversation. There's four 100% redress party members in there now, and they are their own party, and they've run this campaign on what they're going to do about that issue. So we look forward to seeing what they can deliver as well.
Yeah, congratulations to you. And very finally, it's going to be a different type of a council. Obviously, your party colleagues, Barry Sweeney down in Ballyshannon. A lot of people have an awful lot of respect for him right across the party. Not just within Fine Gael. Johnny McGuinness, I'm not sure what's going to come of the situation in Carndonagh. And of course, yes, there are other Fine Gael councillors that have been added. But as the dust settles, it's 3 reps, isn't it? There's a lot of work to do for the party to really replicate how it held up vote-wise nationally.
Yeah, I mean, we have done so well nationally, and this one single issue in Donegal seems to be our main problem, and it has put Johnny in the situation that he's in, and I feel so sorry for Johnny tonight. But maybe something can be done there. I don't know. It's obviously something that has to be solved. Barry Sweeney was an absolutely excellent councillor. I think he brought something to the council that maybe no one else did, and his interest in the arts and interest in culture and so on. And we didn't have someone like that, and that's notwithstanding the fact that Manus Boyle will be very, very good as well. But I'm certainly very disappointed to lose Barry.
I think a lot of people are really surprised by that as well. Listen, thanks so much, Jimmy. That's Councillor Jimmy Kavanagh there. Okay, we are still in the process of electing our final couple of people. We're expecting independent Michael McBride and Donald Coyle over the line. At the moment, the votes of Kieran Brogan and Jimmy Kavanagh, they equal or exceed the quota, so they're elected, as we've just been hearing. So now what's happening is the officials here are distributing Kieran Brogan's surplus of 193 votes. It's the largest surplus, and together with other surpluses not distributed, fits the following criteria: equals, exceeds the difference between the lowest two candidates, can elect a continuing candidate. So that's on the way. Thanks very much, Shannon. We'll walk back over here now. Caroline O'Connor of Highland Radio. Mary T. Sweeney, she's still here, or what is the story? I wouldn't mind getting a word with her, just in case, because what happens is we try and interview those who aren't successful as well, but what can happen is that if you have a rush of people elected, a person who loses out can often leave. Okay, so Mary T. Sweeney's ran a fine race here. I'm not sure in the first instance if that's going to be much comfort to her. But she ran a fine race, and she's going to be joining us very shortly. Listen, apologies if you've tuned in for Monday night sessions. We've had to cut in on the coverage. My apologies to Jimmy and to Paul and any of the acts that had travelled to Letterkenny. It's just, as I've explained before, this is just a crucial part of our democracy here, and we've been trying to wrap up Letterkenny. We're going to be doing that soon. Mary T. Sweeney is going to be joining me in a moment. She's chatting to Caroline. Our own producer here is holding up the interview. All right, but she'll be joining us very, very shortly. By the way, keep your comments coming through on social media, and you can WhatsApp and text us to 086 60 25,000. It's very hard to judge how long we'll be here for, but we anticipate it'll be sooner rather than later than we have a conclusion. Okay, I think Mary T. Sweeney has indicated that she just does not want to speak to us or the media at the moment. She's just not doing any... It's too early. Okay. Too early in the process this evening, or too early in the... She wants an official announcement. Of course, right. That's perfectly fine. She's still effectively in the race, so we'll await that official announcement. Right, okay, that's it. That's the interviews done with the successful candidates so far. Right, a caller says, not a caller, a contributor on our social media says, Amanda says, well done Highland Radio, amazing coverage all weekend. We do appreciate that, and if you've got any other comments, please get them in to us. We're happy to read them out. Well done Jimmy Kavanagh, a man of his word, so delighted for you, says Ollie. The coverage was very good, but the host... the coverage was very, very good, but the hosted panel are all on one side. A woke left wing, no balance at all. Listen, at the end of the day, if you want me to sort of interview right-wing candidates, I have no problem doing that. But my God, you're going to have to get out and vote them in, folks, because it is what it is. We spoke to a number of opposite to left type candidates. I note actually just, and I might show it up here on our camera, we have the building filling up here, 100% redress crew in the house. But we're going to say hello now to, or we're going to engage once again with our panel just to reflect on what we've been listening to so far. Trudy O'Donnell is with us. Trudy, a few people saying you've got an amazing voice for radio. Maybe you should tell them when you're on, because we've already figured all this out.
Thank you very much for that. A little bit on the husky side today after a long few days, so maybe that is helping today. But again, thank you, yes, definitely for all the compliments.
Okay, brilliant stuff. Leah Kavanagh, well done, Jimmy. Well done to yourself, Greg, and all the team for the coverage over the weekend. Thank you very much. Good coverage, Greg, says Marie. Not going too far good, Marie. Oh, not only good, we couldn't get a great out of you. Anyway, listen, I appreciate it. Thanks so much, Marie. Okay, so there we have it. You know, it's a funny old thing. I've been chatting to, as you do, you know, you walk around, Trudy, you walk around and you chat to different people. You know, you're killing time and you're getting bits of information. You're just asking how people are. Jimmy Kavanagh knew fine rightly he was going to be elected. Kieran Brogan knew fine rightly he was going to be elected. But it's not until it's actually announced from that podium that something changes in the candidate, be it in defeat or in the last two cases victory. It's a funny one, isn't it?
But again, until it's official, it's just never ever secure. And I mean, I suppose one of the other things that we did see as well from yesterday's results last night, Jerry McMonigal was extremely worried on Friday night, extremely worried about his vote, thinking that he might actually lose his seat, and he was elected on the second count, or as a second seat. So I mean, that was a phenomenal turnaround as well for him.
Yeah, indeed. And it seems that the one message that's coming from a lot of the candidates, be them successful or otherwise, is those who got in or scraped in, it was making sure they didn't take their position for granted. They had to put the slog in. So that obviously, it was very clear on the ground, either amongst the candidates themselves or their canvassing teams, that work was needed to get them through.
You can never, ever take your seat for granted. And I mean, the groundwork, all of those candidates that have been so far elected and that are going to be deemed elected very shortly have put a humongous amount of groundwork, and they have tramped the roads, the streets, knocked on I don't know how many doors over the past few months. And I mean, I also know that there are candidates that have run in this election that have done absolutely no canvassing, and it showed in the results. So.
Yeah, Doreen, sorry, go ahead, Doreen, yeah.
Are you trying to mute me there? Yeah, you were trying to mute me there. Look at that. I wonder why. I've always been an advocate of paying councillors the money that is due to them, because no, I have to say this, Greg. Okay. Now, if I'm allowed to say it,
you can. It's just
okay.
No. Controversial.
No, it's not one bit controversial. I'm saying it as I see it. You couldn't pay the councillors for the work they're doing. It needs to be for most of them a full-time job. I know and see the hours that Jimmy Kavanagh puts in order to do X, Y, and Z.
They're on about 40k a year,
and 40k wouldn't pay them for what they're doing. I'm sorry. You need to be sitting maybe in a house watching the meetings that are going on.
You need to sit in the building site and watch someone standing there 14 hours
I have
a day
a son in the trade.
Cement.
Yes, I have sons in that kind of business. I know exactly what that's all about. And now I'm glad they're getting their 10% raise in relation to that.
Are they?
And that makes it. Yes, they are. They're falling in.
It's now been linked to teachers and guards.
Yeah, it's been linked to the public service, which is very good. But you're right. Until it's announced, and someone's saying to you, you know, you're in there, you're not in there. And you can see the emotion today in Councillor Kevin and Councillor Brogan now after being elected. They are absolutely, and they're experienced people, and they've been down this road before. I mean, for a first-time person, it's tremendous. But these are men who've been there 3 or 4 times before, and it still means as much to them. I think that's the factor there today.
And again, the risk of losing your seat, as we saw Kevin Bradley doing so graciously earlier on as well. I mean, no councillor ever wants to lose their seat, but they have to fight for it. You have to fight for that. And I mean, the councillors that have been re-elected today as well, they have worked. They have to work for those 5 years to prove to their constituencies that they are capable of working for them and getting the constituents what they actually want and what they need as well.
I was watching TV when I was out there for an hour and listening to Sinn Féin, believe it or not, and like Mary Lou was saying to us, it's very difficult to move a sitting councillor if they're working and are up to speed and doing what you've just said, being out canvassing, listening to their people, doing the work on the ground, and most important of all, going to meetings. That was not happening with councillors here in this county. They were not attending.
Does that filter through to the public, though?
Well, they know now, and the vote showed that, that people aren't happy.
I mean, I think it's clear that, you know, really a hard-working councillor trumps regardless of your political affiliation. And indeed, I think the likes of Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael probably had to try harder because the badge was more of a weight than an advantage, if you know what I mean. And I think it's really more the work that got it's work that got them over the line.
Absolutely. And I mean, I suppose we do have to look at the coalition as well at the minute, and I suppose for Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, I mean, I know personally knocking on doors and stuff, with Micah. It's absolutely heartbreaking, and I think that's where we saw that vote in the 100% Micah redress group as well. And I mean, especially within the Letterkenny area, within a lot of the estates and houses that are really, really bad at the minute with Micah, that vote is seen. And I mean, all of the candidates that saw some of their votes go into that understand it as well, because we're all seeing that. So they don't think that it's not fair that those candidates got the votes.
But as members of a government,
Yes.
Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael and Greens, we have to go back to government. And I don't think, having a new scheme is an idea, but we need to modernise and move forward.
I know.
And that's something that Jimmy Kavanagh referred to there when you interviewed him, and it also is what other councillors are looking at as well.
Micheál says, problem with paying councillors, once that was brought in, it attracted some of the wrong characters into the job. Back 20 years ago, they worked hard and didn't get a wage because they loved the job. I think I take what he's saying, right, but I think in terms of like maybe carers, teachers, nurses, I think the days where we can sort of rely on it being a vocation, I like to see them gone. Now, that's not really a commentary on councillors, but can we expect anyone with all the abuse you get to do just for simply the love of the job? I don't know.
Oh, not anymore. Not in this climate, you can't expect that.
All right, Nikki says, well done, Uncle Jimmy. So well deserved and massive congrats. That's Nikki.
It's Nicola Ponsonby in London.
Oh,
hello
is
to
it?
Nicola. Nicola's my cousin as well. So
Yeah, it is really a Fine Gael affair here,
And
isn't it? But anyway, listen, it's all right. It's all right.
No, it's not a Fine Gael affair.
It is your Fine Gael. Hold on a second.
This is a discussion, and this is a discussion here. And I mean, I've even referenced the.
I was only
Sinn
saying hello
Féin.
to my cousin in London.
I know.
No, I wasn't on about that. I was on about you two.
Yeah. Well, we're not afraid to wear a heart in our sleeve. We're
No,
not.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I don't.
I know.
Nikki could be of support any party. I don't
I
know.
know who that is.
All
I
right,
know
okay.
who
Well, we're
that
as
is.
happy today for Jimmy Kavanagh as we are for Kieran Brogan. Kieran Brogan's a fine
Absolutely.
councillor in Letterkenny, has worked very hard, and he talks the thing up. He doesn't talk it down, and I think that's a credit to him. He doesn't like this negativity about the way Letterkenny's portrayed at times and the funding that's going to.
Of course, it's a different type of council too now. the Sinn Féin councillors.
Yeah, 10 Fianna Fáil.
Four Micah 100% redress.
Yeah. 3 of the Fine Gael.
Just 3 Fine Gael. Then
10 and 10. Yeah.
Then a number of independents.
Yeah, 10.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it is it's a broad representation, I think, of well, Fine Gael probably aren't very well represented compared to
Well,
the
it's
votes.
the worst we've ever been in a long time, and I
What
have to
went
put our
wrong
hands
there?
up on that. Well, it hasn't gone wrong nationally because we're up at 23%, Fianna Fáil and 22%, and Sinn Féin haven't got anywhere near where they thought they would get. And I don't know where the Greens were because, I don't know, they must be away on their holidays or something. I hope they're not.
Do you know, I'll tell
I'm
you.
sorry, I just feel it wasn't
I actually
touched on at all
do you know
as
what
a government party.
I do wonder.
got away with
I do
murder.
wonder for the future of the Greens.
Yeah.
Because I think in this current climate, even if you needed them to form a government, I don't think any party's actually going to do it, because whether you like it or not, they're a bit toxic.
In Donegal, it's very difficult, and I mean,
But even nationally
as well.
All the bad things, carbon tax,
Yeah.
turf.
There's rarely good news.
It's
Yeah.
attributed to the Greens, and I think really we saw the likes of Lisa Chambers sort of trying to distance herself from that, which Pauline O'Reilly didn't like at all. She thought it was a bit,
They've done some very good things, though. I mean, I think they have made us all more environmentally aware in loads of issues, and I think that's got into schools and legislation and stuff.
Yeah, but I don't buy that. If you watch RTE at the time of the budget, right, anything that's green related, the camera goes to Eamon Ryan. As if the Green Party have some sort of a.
Well, they're the only people that are promoting it, sort of.
Yeah, as if they're the only people that think green or what have you. Right, okay. Let us see. How far away are we? Do you think? We are talking, I've got the figures here, so we're talking a surplus of 193 votes. That's not going to take long, Trudy and Doreen.
And Jimmy Kavanagh's as well, but what they have to do is they have to...
Is Jimmy's? No, Jimmy's is separate.
Jimmy's is going to be separate, they're distributing Kieran Brogan's now, and keep in mind that what they actually get, again, those mathematical equations have to take place.
It could be singles here.
It's too late to explain that.
Yeah, it's too late, but it's going to be very, very small
1572, oh my word. Michael McBride's a million miles away.
But he may get elected without reaching the quota. If there's not anything below him that's going
that
to
means
be...
that means two would have to get elected at the same time then.
Yeah.
Is that a possibility?
That
Yes.
can't be ruled out. Yeah, that can't be ruled out.
All right, are we ready to go again? I wonder. I think we are, So we shall see. We shall see what's going on. Okay, we're ready for.
That was well timed now, Greg.
It was
well done.
indeed. Do you know what wasn't
You're
well
getting
timed?
better.
People joining Zoom. That's what wasn't well timed. I'm getting cranky now, Doreen.
It's okay, but people thought last night watching that you were cutting us all off in the conversation.
Who said that?
It was a discussion
What?
in several staff rooms today that Greg Hughes was cutting
Kenny.
us all off.
Was it Enda Kenny said
No,
it?
no, it wasn't, and that you were cutting myself and poor old John McAtee off. But I was dealing with 5 screens and was trying to control
I
all
have
that.
just literally
It's
cut
okay.
you off.
He
All right,
didn't
let's
cut
go.
me
Yep,
off,
ready
it's
to go.
fine.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, Joe Dex is going to take over proceedings there. No, Joe, come on over here, please. There you go. Good man. Right, Seamus County.
Shaw Alanis, Turhi and Cahir Huntas Jeg. The following is the result of the 14th count, which consisted of the distribution of Kieran Brogan's 193 votes. Coyle Donal Fianna Fáil votes this count 54, total votes 1,266, 1266. McBride Michael, non-party, votes this count 43, total votes 1,615, 1615. Sweeney Mary T. Aintu votes this count 21, total votes 1,150, 1150. Non-transferable papers not effective 75. As there is one continuing candidate more than the number of seats left to be filled, I deem the following candidates to be elected without reaching the quota.
Okay, there we have it.
Coyle and Michael McBride.
Okay, well done, well done. Donal Coyle is connected there. Sorry, Donal Coyle is being hoisted up here. He has had the longest wait. It's the 37th seat, effectively, of Donegal County Council to be filled. It's been a long old wait. He wasn't counting his chickens behind me. Michael McBride is raised aloft. He's an independent, of course. Michael McBride, congratulations. How are you getting on, Michael? Well done to you. All right, Ali, I'll get you a mic in a second. Michael, how are you feeling?
I'm over the moon now at this stage, Greg. It's been, it's been a long campaign. I'm delighted that I have all my family, my friends, my election team around me. They've just been unbelievable the whole way through the canvass. They've been there for me all the time. And, for Rachel here and Molly, my sister Felice, the whole lot of them, I'm just absolutely delighted. And I would like to thank everybody out there who voted for me. I'd like to thank them for the votes and the support that they've given me. We have a new mandate now going back to Lifford, and I can't wait to get back to work for the people that elected me here in Letterkenny.
What was the secret for you? It's the hard work, obviously. It's the support of your family, your friends, out knocking the doors. But your record, I suppose, in the council, being a voice for those who voted for you and those that didn't vote for you too.
I suppose, Greg, the way I look at it is, there's no secret formula for this game. I suppose the first thing you have to do is have a graph for it. You have to love doing it. And you need people around you that believe in you. It's really a movement of people in a certain direction. And it's the values that you're brought up with and what you believe in and what you want to do for people that drives you on. So that's really what makes it happen. And it's all about the wonderful people that help you out. You can't do it on your own.
All right, and before I let you back to those wonderful people, what do you want to work on over the next 5 years? Is it continuing the work that you are doing? I suppose working with a council that's got a different makeup now?
The new council certainly going to have a different makeup. I don't ever remember any local election that had so much change in it, so many shocks, so many things happened. And we don't really know until we get back into Lifford what committees we're going to get on and how the formation of the new council is. I would like to see an all-inclusive council again. I think it's very healthy for the people of Donegal, for the electorate out there to have an all-inclusive council. If that happens, I'll try and get on whatever committees that, whatever comes my way, I'll take it. I'll work hard at it. And, it's all about representing the people and dealing with local problems, putting the motions on at municipal level and at plenary level in Lifford. And, if you get in there and give it your best shot for 5 years, that's all you can really do. And I promise the people who put me into the council to do that for them.
All right, well done, Councillor. Michael McBride, well done too. He ran a very successful campaign, no doubt about it. Donald Coyle, where is Councillor Coyle? He's got, well, how could you interrupt this picture? Have a look at this. Look at that. Yeah, we'll let that one. We don't want to ruin that. So Caroline's trying to beckon me in to ruin the best picture of the council, the debate so far, the coverage so far. Councillor Coyle, congratulations.
Thanks very much, Greg. Thanks very much, and I'm sure you're glad, like all your listeners and everybody here, that have saved a recount by being elected.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Are you confident the seat's yours now? Because up until very recently, you weren't counting your chickens.
No. Well, look, one doesn't mind waiting when they know that there's going to be a good result at the end. So I didn't mind. And in fairness, look, there were 2 recounts over the last 2 days. That's a right and a democratic right of candidates to do that. And still at the end, the result was that I got elected, and I'm absolutely delighted.
As did your running mate, the table toppers over there. Kieran Brogan's over my left shoulder. It was a tough, competitive, tight field, just almost within Fianna Fáil in and of itself.
Yeah. No doubt about it, and I've been involved in elections for well over 45 years now. And this certainly would have been the toughest election. The fact that I was running myself, it was really tough with all the issues that are out there. But it's a fantastic result for the Fianna Fáil party in Donegal and Letterkenny in particular.
All right, well done. Congratulations to another 5 years.
Thank you very much.
It's our pleasure. Okay, good man. Thank you for getting us finished. Okay, that was Councillor Coyle there, and that's pretty much us. Let's go back here now, and I think we can almost wrap things up. Yes, indeed. So there we have it, all done and dusted. 2 over the line. Before I let you go, ladies, because we're going to hand back to base. Doreen, are you happy enough?
Yes, I'm delighted, and I congratulate you on the coverage, and I also congratulate the staff of the Donegal County Council for the way they handle things today. And I think we've got a good team to represent us. And once they go inside the door, they're neither Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael or Sinn Féin or anything else. They are representing the people of Donegal and the people of the Letterkenny electoral area, and I know they will speak well on our behalf.
All right, have a look at these, Shannon. She's got my shoes on. See, I'll tell you, I am a trend setter. We're going to have a quick chat with Mary T. Sweeney probably to wrap things up. Obviously, listen, no bones about it. There's no secret about it, and it doesn't really matter. You are 2 Fine Gael supporters. It's a tough old election, but we haven't been talking about that, right? Because that's for another day. But finally, glad to get things sorted out here. Obviously pleased for Jimmy Kavanagh, but all the candidates. I think Doreen's put it quite well there. Regardless of, they're all going in there to represent the people.
Yeah, absolutely, and delighted, and huge congratulations as well to the 7 candidates. I know there's obviously one seat that has been changed, and fingers crossed that candidate that is taking that seat does have a wealthy addition to the council as well, and presumably are there to fix the mica. So I hope that they are willing and very able as well, and put in the groundwork to do that and to support those mica families that have voted for them. So.
Trudy, thank you so much. Doreen, as always, love speaking to you and having you with us. Mary T. Sweeney, how are you feeling?
Me and you are getting closer, Greg. I'll do anything to get closer to you.
Where's himself?
Well, himself's in the background, but we'll keep him there.
Stay over there, you. Come here, Mary T. It's really disappointing for you. You've worked really, really hard. And in fairness to you, you work hard all of the time anyway. You are first and foremost a community activist. Of course, you're involved in AIM too. And I think everyone, whether they agree with your politics or not, probably would support you. What you're trying to do is to get in there and to make a difference. Just fell a little bit short, less than 100 votes short this time round.
Oh, you'll easily find them on the mica candidates, and I'm very proud that my votes are sitting there, and for the people that went and gave the mica candidates that number 1. This is the real challenge to a community activist and to somebody in AIM2. If you're going out and you're representing your community, the biggest threat in our community at the moment is the crumbling homes. The reality that the 100% Redress Party are there. I'm delighted and thrilled from across Donegal. And the other big issue is our Letterkenny Hospital. The traffic is subsidiary. It's a 3rd level. It's an inconvenience. It's a torture, but it's a subsidiary to the other 2. And the reality is that when you see the Micah candidates getting up there and stepping forward, those people have left their family homes like I do, and I don't have to be elected. It just would be much more convenient if I was elected to walk in the doors of the council and negotiate with the staff to help the people in our community. That day will come. It doesn't work. I'm very fortunate that many of the council staff work with me anyway, and I will continue to do what I can, and I thank everybody who voted for me, and who voted for me as the number 2 on the Micah papers. That was a special vote, and I recognise that.
Yeah, and I think in your recount it served the democratic process well, actually. I think it was important that was done, because it did actually expose quite a number of questionable votes that did bring you above Councillor Bradley. Not enough in the end, but certainly a worthwhile process.
When you look at it, you have to remember, we're a small team. Okay, I have a few wee nuggets of experience and real political dynasty in there.
And you've got Patrick Tobin on speed dial.
I have Patrick Tobin on speed dial. And I'll tell you what, if it wasn't for some of the other parties there last night, and I have to thank John and Troy and all those who supported me across party for the good of democracy. I don't forget that. And I acknowledge John and Troy and all the team there that was there in the Fine Gael team, in fairness, that gave me, and again, other people from Kevin Bradley's team who networked with me. We worked as a community. It became quieter as it came near the end and the votes were getting tighter. But the reality is that if something good comes out for Donegal from all of these councillors that have been elected, the challenge doesn't lie with me, it lies with the ones that have been re-elected. What have you done in the last 5 years? What have you failed to do in the last 5 years? And what are you going to do now with the Micah candidates that are standing there, the 100% redress candidates? What are you going to do to lessen their burden?
But I presume you're also committing really to hold them to account. You'd like to do it from within the council, but I presume you're not going to stop doing it from without.
Of course I would like to, and I'm a threat to them. And when you see them getting their signs erected on the country roads because I'm highlighting it, then my job's been done. You know what I mean, Greg? That's the reality of it.
I can't steal you back from your husband any longer.
I think you like getting rid of me too, Greg.
No, don't. We were doing so well. Why would you end on that note?
We are friends.
All right. Thank you very much indeed. Mary T. Sweeney, congratulations on a fantastic campaign. And that is where we have to leave it. I want to thank our fabulous team here at the Orr Leisure Centre. Caroline Orr, who is the producer, of course, and put pretty much everything together over the last 5 or 6 weeks. I don't think there's another person in the country would be able to do what Caroline has done. So without her, when we talk about coverage, a lot of the time, the focus is on air stuff, but I assure you, we wouldn't have been able to have done what we've done over the last 5 to 6 weeks if it wasn't for the tireless work of Caroline, or also assisted by Shannon Wilkin, who is holding the camera. Thank you very much, Shannon. And I want to thank Paddy Rooney. For his contributions, John McAteer for his contributions, Trudy O'Donnell, and of course Doreen Sheridan here to my left. I want to thank all the candidates who have engaged with us. We have spoken to pretty much absolutely every one of them that would. All were invited to the debates. The absolute majority accepted those, and it was very important that we give them a voice in the run-up to this election, and also we spoke to them whether they were elected or were unsuccessful. And I particularly want to thank as well here the council staff in Letterkenny, but not just here, in Donegal Town, in the Finn Valley, in Glenties and in Buncrana. We've had an awful lot of praise for the coverage, and I really do appreciate that, but we couldn't have done that without the assistance and cooperation of the fantastic staff. And I'm not going to start naming them here because I don't have the names to hand in the top of my head for the rest of the staff that helped us right around the county. And thank you so very much for your positive feedback. I'm taking tomorrow off. Donald Kavanagh's on the 9 till noon show. I'll be back with you on Wednesday, Thursday if Caroline lets me off, but certainly Wednesday anyway. So for me, Greg Hughes, and all of the team, sorry to Paul, sorry to Jimmy for cutting in, but that's it. We have our 37 councillors, and that is Highland LE24 election coverage over, hopefully for 5 years.
Broadcasting throughout the Northwest and across the world online. This is Highland Radio. Togu do Station, Highland Radio.